Andrew, 30M, for 2 years now. We met at a mutual friend's birthday party 4 years ago. Andrew caught my eye immediately with his easy smile and quick wit. We spent most of the evening talking and laughing, and by the end of the night we had exchanged numbers. Our first date was a week later, and things just clicked from there. After dating for a year, Andrew proposed during a weekend getaway to the beach. It was simple and romantic, just the two of us watching the sunset. We got married 6 months later in a small ceremony with close friends and family. Since then, we've been living in my house, which I bought a year before meeting Andrew. The first 2 years of our marriage were mostly good. Like any couple, we had our share of disagreements and adjustments, but overall, we were happy. We both work full-time jobs, so we tried to make the most of our evenings and weekends together. We enjoyed cooking meals, binge-watching TV shows, and going on short trips when we could manage it. My family consists of my dad, 58M, Mom, 55F, and elder sister Abigail, 32F. Abigail has always been the golden child in our family. She's been married to her husband Phil, 35M, for 5 years and lives with him in his house. From what I've gathered over the years, their relationship isn't great. They argue frequently, and Abigail often complains about Phil to our parents. Last month, I was surprised when my mom and Abigail showed up at my doorstep unannounced. They rarely visit me, so I knew something was up. Mom told me that Abigail had a big fight with Phil and left him. They both started complaining about Phil, saying he was controlling and manipulative. Mom even mentioned that they were considering taking legal action against him. Then came the bombshell. Mom said, "Abigail needs a place to stay until we sort things out. Can she stay with you?" I was taken aback. My house isn't very big, and I value my privacy. Plus, Abigail and I have never been particularly close. Growing up, she was always the center of attention, and I often felt overshadowed. We've maintained a friendly relationship as adults, but we're not the type to confide in each other or spend time together voluntarily. I told my mom that I need to discuss this with Andrew first. Mom looked disappointed, but I stood my ground. I explained that it's a decision that affects both Andrew and me, and we need to make it together. Mom tried to guilt-trip me, saying family should always come first, but I didn't budge. After they left, I felt confused. On one hand, I felt bad for Abigail if she was truly in a difficult situation. On the other hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to the story than what they were telling me. Abigail has a history of exaggerating situations to get her way, and I was cautious of getting involved in her drama. I also couldn't help but feel annoyed that this was the first time in months that my mom had visited me, and it was only because she wanted something. It brought up old feelings of being the less important daughter. When Andrew came home that evening, I told him about the situation. He was surprised but said we should help if Abigail really needed it. We agreed to think it over for a day or two before making a decision. Now, I'm torn. Part of me wants to help my sister, but another part of me is reluctant to disrupt our lives and potentially get dragged into family drama. I'm also worried about how this might affect my relationship with Andrew, as we've never had a long-term guest in our home before. Am I wrong for not immediately agreeing to let my sister stay with us? Should I prioritize family over my own comfort and privacy? Or am I right to be cautious and consider all aspects before making a decision? Update 1. It's been a week since my last post. After much discussion, Andrew and I agreed to let Abigail stay with us temporarily. We set some ground rules about respecting our space and privacy, and I called my mom to let her know our decision. Mom was relieved and grateful, and Abigail moved in the next day. At first, things seemed okay. Abigail was quiet and kept to herself mostly. She spent a lot of time in the guest room, saying she was looking for jobs online and researching divorce lawyers. I tried to be supportive while also maintaining some distance. But as days passed, I started noticing some changes. Andrew, who usually works late and goes to the gym after work, started coming home earlier. He'd skip his workouts, saying he was tired or had a headache. At first I didn't think much of it, but then I realized it was happening more frequently. I also caught Abigail flirting with Andrew a few times when she thought I wasn't around. She'd laugh a bit too hard at his jokes, touch his arm while talking, or find excuses to be in the same room as him. I tried to brush it off, thinking maybe I was being paranoid or reading too much into innocent interactions. But my suspicions grew stronger as Andrew's behavior towards me changed. He became more distant, often lost in thought. When I tried to talk to him about it, he'd brush it off, saying he was just stressed about work. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. I started paying closer attention to their interactions. I noticed how Andrew's eyes would linger on Abigail when she walked by, how he'd act when she entered the room. It made me uncomfortable, but I didn't want to jump to conclusions. Then yesterday, it happened. I came home early from work due to a migraine. As I walked into the living room, I saw Andrew and Abigail on the couch. They were sitting close together, their heads bent towards each other. Andrew had his arm around Abigail, and they were speaking in hushed tones. When they saw me, they quickly moved apart, looking guilty. I was furious. I told Abigail to pack her things and get out of my house immediately. She tried to explain, saying it wasn't what it looked like, but I wouldn't listen. I was too shocked and angry to even look at Andrew. Abigail left that evening, taking her belongings with her. I haven't spoken to Andrew since then. He tried to approach me a few times, but I shut him down. I'm hurt, angry, and confused. I don't know what to do next. I feel betrayed not just by Andrew, but by Abigail too. How could my own sister do this to me? And Andrew, the man I thought I knew and loved. How could he throw away our marriage like this? I'm also angry at myself for ignoring the red flags. I should have trusted my instincts when I first noticed something was off. Instead, I second-guessed myself and allowed the situation to develop. Now I'm at a loss. I don't know if I can trust Andrew again. Even if nothing physical happened between them, the emotional betrayal is just as painful. And Abigail, I don't even know how to begin processing her actions. I've been staying in